Welcome to Compass Points, the weekly podcast for CompassKnox.com. CompassKnox.com is your best source for news and politics in Knoxville and Knox County. If you'd like to learn more about the topics discussed on today's podcast, go to CompassKnox.com and subscribe for in-depth coverage and much more.
Welcome to Compass Points, a podcast about Knoxville and Knox County government, politics, business, education, and just about anything else that grabs our attention. I'm Scott Barker, editor of Compass, a subscription-based website and newsletter, where we report on all these topics and more. You can find us at CompassKnox.com. I am currently in the opulent studios of Barbarian Productions in Rocky Hill, where we are taping this on Friday with under the nimble direction of our producer, Lord Seth Barber. Seth, it's time for the 3-day-old weather report.
Can I use the H word yet?
You can use the H word anytime you want.
It is stupid hot, people. It's just hot. It is oppressively hot. It makes me sad outside. It's too hot. Even the pool's hot at this point. Like, the pool water is getting hot. It's been so hot for so long now. So I'm pretty confident that come Sunday when you guys are all hearing this, it's still going to be hot. So it doesn't have to be the 3-day-old weather report. It could be the right now. Look out your window. It's hot outside.
Well, I will tell you this. Of course, it's sad, but in the early morning hours of this morning, Friday morning, I was still working, and at the Bell Morris Bureau of Compass, and it started raining. Had a really nice, long, soaking rain. Not a gully washer, not some sprinkles, but a nice soaking rain. Very nice. I was very, I don't know if I was glad that I was still up at like 2 o'clock in the morning, but it was, it certainly made it more pleasant.
I need to see the receipts on this. I would like to see some evidence of this thing. I don't believe rain is real anymore.
I
think it's just boiling water coming up from the river or something like that you mistook for rain.
Unfortunately, the evidence has evaporated.
As it does.
All right. Well, last week we had some quite a bit of news. It was kind of a busy week, and some of the things, we can't get into everything that we covered because there was so much, but we'll go over some of the things that we covered last week. One of the topics we'll hit on is kind of a fun little thing, connecting or talking about the connections that the city of Knoxville has to the inventor of the parking meter. And we'll talk about that. The Juvenile Detention Center's Board of Directors, newly formed, had their first meeting last week. The school system, Superintendent John Roswick talked a week ago Friday, but we ran it on Monday. Hit the impact of federal budget cuts on the school system, pretty drastic. Lots of jobs lost, some shuffling around. We'll sort all that out. Then the rest, we had this week we did our monthly power poll. Those of you who, we don't talk about it usually that much on the podcast, but on the people who read us know that we do this once a month. It's a poll of essentially the movers and shakers in the community, and we asked them a bunch of local questions, one of which was what they thought about the sales tax referendum in the city. So we'll talk about that. There was a 6th District City Council candidate forum. 6th District is East Knoxville downtown and over to Marble City. So it's a kind of a sprawling district, but it is also the city's only majority-minority district. They had a candidate forum on Thursday that we covered that I actually happened to moderate. We also, during the week, had candidate profiles of the people running for the 3rd district seat. There are 4 candidates there. We'll kind of go through those. But we'll start out talking about campaign finance reports, which came in the past week or so. I will do my best to keep from just reciting numbers because we ran a piece kind of looking at different patterns in the donations, and it's very clear that while the city election is nonpartisan, that there's a lot of partisanship going on out there, and kind of more than there was 15, 20 years ago. So it's or at least it seems that way. It's a little bit more overt than it was. Of course, by nonpartisan, what that means really, what it only means is that when you go to the booth, to cast your ballot, the ballot will not have an R or a D beside a candidate's name. So you can't just go in completely ignorant of the candidates and what they've talked about and get a cue from their party affiliation. You won't know their party affiliation just from looking at the ballot. So, however, when you look at their campaign finance disclosures, some of them really pop out, and we'll go back to 2021, the last time these seats were on the ballot. The Knox County Republican Party overtly and prominently supported a slate of candidates, 5 candidates, and the 5 races. There are 5 races going on in this cycle, and the conservative political consultant Eric Wider basically ran their campaigns, did all that, coordinated everything. Democrats weren't quite as overt about it. They didn't, unlike the Republicans, they didn't just come out and endorse candidates. Although there were Democratic consultants working on campaigns, and the donors, a lot of Democratic donors voted with their dollars for more progressive candidates. The GOP candidates all lost because the city is a predominantly, not predominantly, it leans Democratic, and it's basically a blue dot in a red sea in East Tennessee. And
with the change in the state law on voting, or on districted voting requirements, it does kind of open the door for this conversation of the partisanship for sure. Yes.
You anticipated where this conversation was going. The change in state law that Seth referred to is that in the past, since 1969, the city elections, the primary, the district elections, the primary was decided. The top 2 finishers go on to the general election. The primary was decided by primary voters, so they would vote. Top 2 finishers go on to the general election. General election was held citywide. Every person in the city could vote for every race in the city in the general election. So the one thing that I think easily played out in 2021 and in previous elections is that with the electorate in general tending to lean toward Democrats, then when all of those candidates ran citywide, they were less likely to vote for the conservative candidate who was affiliated with Republicans. With the change now in the general election, like the primary, only district voters can vote for the district's rep. So that has made for some kind of funky things going on. Like I said, the top 2 finishers in a race will go on to the general election. There are 2 races in this year's election that only have 2 candidates Usually the primary is kind of an elimination round, where if you have 4, 5, 6 candidates, all but 2 of them are eliminated, and then you go on. You've got a different electorate in the general election, and you've got only 2 choices instead of 3, 4, 5, or even more. This year we've got two races where there are only 2 candidates running. So the primary is basically halftime of a long game. So there's no guarantee that the person who wins or comes in first in the primary will come in first in the general election. You would think it usually would be that way, but there's no guarantee. So it's halftime when you come to that. Anyway, that also, when I say that Knoxville tends to vote more blue than red, that's not uniform across the city. There are places where they're a little bit more purple. One of them is the 3rd district in northwest Knoxville. That is the city's most purple district, and that is probably and the outcomes in recent elections is one of the things that prompted the Republican Representative Lane Davis to push through the change in city election law.
Right. I believe the inference from all of this is that the city that city GOP voters, or the GOP both state and locally, see that as one of the very winnable ones in the new format.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm going to guess that when we're talking finance here in a second, you're going to tell me about how much GOP spent in that district.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. But one of the things that stands out when you go through those disclosure forms is that there are candidates who are basically conservative and progressive candidates. They might not be technically Democrats and Republicans, but they are progressive and conservative for sure. The Wider is working on 4 campaigns for conservative candidates. You have Jack Vaughn, who is a prominent Democratic consultant, working on campaigns for some of those opponents. There are candidates in various seats who share donor bases. The same names pop up, and so you can. It's really something that you kind of have to dig into and figure out. It's not something that if that just is something you would automatically assume. So that's one of the reasons that we do this, is so that people who read Compass kind of have a better idea of what differentiates these candidates. And one example of this is in the 1st district, which is South Knoxville and the Fort Sanders area. And of course, all of these seats, the people who currently hold them cannot run because of term limits. So everybody would be just about everybody who's running has not served on city council before. There's one big exception on that. But in the 1st district, there's Karen Adams who's running. She is a Knox County Planning Commissioner. She's a longtime South Knoxville resident. She is very well connected on the progressive side of things, and her donors reflect that. The businessman and philanthropist Phil Lawson is a big donor, as he is with some other candidates we'll talk about. Vice Mayor Tommy Smith, Council Member Debbie Helsley, who are both progressive members of council, are supporting her. Shane Jackson, who's a Democrat on the Knox County Commission, is supporting her. The 2 of the other candidates who are running, who are getting support from lots of progressive and Democratic donors, Matthew DeBartoleben and Frank Ramey, have also donated to her campaign. Matt Shears, the former chair of the Democratic Party. So lots of people who either are definitely identified as Democrats or tend to support Democratic candidates, support her. In the meantime, Becky Jones is a first-time candidate, and she's one who Eric Wider is working with, and she is, she's gotten contributions from Republican Knox County Commissioner Andy Fox, former Republican State Rep Bill Dunn, Jane Chedister, who's been very active in Republican politics, kind of behind the scenes. But if you're involved in politics in Knox County, you know Jane. Kimberly Glenn, who works for the sheriff's office. Martin Hammonds, who's a prominent Republican donor. All these people, and the Knox Liberty Organization. All those people have donated her campaign. Now, at this point, Adams has far outraised Jones and outspent Jones, because she got started really early. She got started last year, and over the whole course of the election cycle, she's raised close to $37,000. And Jones, on the other hand, has only she didn't start till the second quarter of this year, which began in April, and she's only raised a little less than $8,000 so far. But that's could be a long campaign if both of them go beyond the general election, or go beyond the primary to the general election. This race has two other candidates. One of them is Lindsay Rimko. She has her own connections to a political organization here. It's the City Council movement. Those of you who follow politics in Knoxville know the City Council movement is a very progressive group. They make they look at a lot of mainstream Democrats as being way too conservative for them. It's an organization that really kind of punches above its weight when it comes to electoral politics in Knoxville. Their first win in that third district we talked about before was Seema Singh way back in 2017. Singh subsequently had a falling out with them. The real champion of the City Council movement is current at-large council member Amelia Parker. She's in her second term as an at-large council member, and she is kind of the standard bearer for the City Council movement. They have not been as successful in other races. They have run a candidate in the first district before, Urimko, who lost, and but anytime you've got somebody who is affiliated with the City Council movement in these races in the city, especially places in the city that have significant Democratic turnout, like the first district, they in a primary especially, there's a really good chance that they can work their way in there. There is another candidate. His name is Charles Van Morgan. He's only raised $489. Didn't list any contributors on his campaign finance report. While everybody's running, you don't need a lot of money to run for a district city council seat. They are smaller geographic areas. It's 1/6 of the population of Knoxville that is in each district. But it is an indication of how hard you're campaigning, what your chances are, the way your ability to reach voters and that sort of thing. And Morgan is way behind in that metric. So then you can move on to the second district. And here we've got second district. You've got only two candidates, and it mirrors what's going on in the first district with two of the candidates, with Adams and Jones, and that Nathan Honeycutt, who is an architect, he's a principal with McCarty, Wholesale McCarty. He has raised more than $40,000 over the course of the campaign, and he's still got plenty of money left. Even after expenses, he's got about $34,000 left that he can spend on flyers and mailers and campaign workers and that sort of thing. He shares lots of donors with Karen Adams, Lawson, Helsley, Jackson. He's also got some other donors. Roger Gibran, who is with Denart Construction. He's the founder of Denart Construction. Robin Askew, David Dewhurst, Christy Branscombe, Joan Ash, the wife of former Mayor Victor Ash. Many of Honeycutt's supporters are Democrats, and so he is. If you want to align him with anybody, I think that would be more he is more in line with the kind of moderate left of center Democrat who typically populates city council. So now he is running against Melody Watts, who is getting all the Republican support in the district, and with work from Eric Wider, but again, she's taken in far less than her opponent. She's only brought in $8,200. She hasn't spent anything hardly. She's still got $8,000 left over. She's got almost all of the amount of money that she bought, that she has raised in her account. But like Honeycutt and Adams, she shares the donor base with Jones, including Andy Fox, State Rep Justin Lafferty, Justin Hurst, Ammons, Bill Dunn, the Knox Liberty Organization. That's another similarity there with them. And this is repeated again in the 4th District, where Matthew DeBardelaben who has raised almost $29,000 for the course of the election, again from some of those same donors that have given to Adams and to Honeycutt. He's being supported by former Mayor Madeline Rojero, school board Democratic school board members Ann Templeton and Catherine Bike, the former council member Marshall Stair, current council member for that district Lauren Ryder, again Shane Jackson, the Democratic county commissioner. So and he's running against Jeff Tallman, who ran for mayor 2 years ago and lost in the primary to Indy Kincannon. But his donors, again, the conservative donors, the same, a lot of the same ones who donated to the other campaigns we talked about, Lafferty, Fox, Ammons. There's DJ Corcoran and Victor Jernigan are also supporters. Jernigan's a developer. Corcoran is a former spokesman with the fire department. There's he, like the other Republicans in this, got a late start. He's only raised about $10,000, but he still has most of that left over. In fact, he's got more left over than DeBardelaben does. And again, that pattern keeps cropping up, and it crops up a little bit in the third district, where we have 4 candidates running. Doug Lloyd is the one who's raised the most. He is supported by mostly Republicans. Again, the third district is the most purple of the city's districts. He raised about $26,000 and some change during the course of the cycle so far. Same, the usual suspects are on the Republican side are donating to him. Fox, Ammons, Dunn, Hearst, Knox Liberty Organization. He's also got some others who are donors who are unique to him. Patricia Bible, businesswoman, and Steve Williams, developer Nick Kazana, real estate investor or representative Nick Kazana. So it's in kind of the flip side there in that district, the Republican candidate or the more conservative candidate is the one who has raised the most money there. Frank Ramey is running against him. Frank Ramey is an interesting candidate. He's got some support from people who donate to Democrats, but he's only raised $700 from them. His funding is mostly coming from himself. He's donated his campaign $4,900. Ramey is a business owner. One of the things is he is what a lot of people might look at as being a real anomaly, because his business is he sells ammunition and does very well at it, and can easily afford to finance his campaign. He also donates to Second Amendment groups. So he's I don't know what his actual political affiliation is, but judging from some of the people who support him, he is the closest thing to a progressive Democrat that is in this particular race. There are a couple of others. Nick Cipero, who seems to be running for office just about every year or every other year. This is his third time running for this seat. He's run for Congress. He's run for the state Senate. He ran for county commissioner. He's never won anything. He hasn't raised any money, or hasn't really raised any money. He's paid for this himself. So there is another candidate, the only one who's actually served on city council in this election, and that's Ivan Harmon. He served a couple of terms on city council when Victor Ashe was the mayor. He served a couple of terms on Knox County Commission. He was on county commission during the whole Black Wednesday debacle, and actually played a role in the Black Wednesday debacle. This is how long he's been around. He was a member of the City of Knoxville Board of Education back in the 1980s, before the school systems merged, or basically it wasn't really a merger so much as it was the city opted to get out of the school business, and the county had to take over because the county has to do that by state law. But Harmon is, he's raised a little money, couple $1,000s, not really a whole lot. It appears he is, really counting on his personal connections, his name recognition, and the fact he's been around for a long time. He is a candidate who can really pull that kind of campaign off because of that, because of the district he resides in, and his name recognition, his experience, his knowledge of Pete. He knows everybody in Northwest Knoxville, so he is, even though he hasn't raised a whole lot of money, there is a very decent chance that he could go on to the general election. Then we have District 6. There's not as much money being raised there. You got Stan Johnson, who is the executive director of Seed, which is a nonprofit organization. He raised about $9,400. One of the interesting things was his first attempt at filing a campaign finance disclosure form. The disclosure form was, to put it charitably, a mess. It was hard. There were various figures on different lines that obviously weren't supposed to be on those lines, and only listed a couple of donors, everything. But he filed a supplemental form that cleared all that up. One of the things about people who run for local office, it's often the first time they've run for office, the forms throw them off a little bit, and if they don't have somebody who's been through it before, it could be it's easy to make an error or omit things that you don't realize you need to omit or you need to include. But he figured that out. He's running. There are 5 candidates in this race. Denzel Grant, who is the executive director of Turn Up Knox, he raised about $6,000. He's got interesting, the former election commissioner and Democratic candidate Greg McKay is among his supporters. Developer R. Bentley Marlowe is a supporter. And then you get down to some who have raised less. Charles Frazier, for example, didn't even file. He didn't have a treasurer, but George Raudenbush, who is one of the more colorful candidates. He goes by the nickname Cat Dad, and he's a big advocate for stray cats. He only raised about $1,500. Lawrence Williams has some interesting support. He's raised $3,500, accumulated almost $2,400 in in-kind contributions. But Reverend Jerry Upton and the current council member there, Gwen McKenzie, have donated to his campaign. So, as I said, in the first, the second, the third, and the fifth districts, fourth district, we've got this pattern of progressive donors supporting one candidate and conservative donors supporting the other. None of the candidates really get out and make a big deal of their party affiliation. Actually, most of them don't even mention that at all, and you would not glean any kind of insight without looking at their financial disclosures. Like I said, that's one of the reasons that we do all this. And we talked about this. We talked about the third district. This past week ran a profile of the third district candidates, and I've already gone through part of those things. We'll talk about them briefly now. One of the things we like to do at Compass is we do profiles of all candidates. We try to interview them, go through the what they want to do as office holders. We look at their back, their some a little bit of their personal background, kind of a get to know you thing. Talk about their records if they've held public office before, and those kinds of things. So, the northwest Knoxville, where the third district is, basically it's Middlebrook Pike to Clinton Highway. Western Avenue kind of runs up the middle. It's kind of the spine. We mentioned earlier, Seema Singh, one of the most progressive members of council, managed to win that seat 8 years ago and is now winding up her second term. She is. It was funny when she ran in 2017. She ran against a very conservative candidate in the primary. The conservative candidate won, or finished first in the primary. She finished second. In the general election, which again goes to that city, was at the time a citywide vote. Singh prevailed there, so that's one of the reasons that, as I said, Davis pushed for the change in the election law in the state that now prevents the city from doing that. Mentioned Cipero. He was winless in his previous runs. He rails against the city administration. He is not a big fan of Mayor Kincannon, and he wants to tackle traffic issues. He sometimes kind of plays fast and loose with some of the facts, if you want to say that. One of the things he did when he was he interviewed our correspondent Gerald Witt, was basically accused the current holder of the seat, Singh, of not living in the district and living in an apartment downtown, which is not true. She in fact, we did something we usually don't do. Had to call her up and say, "Hey, you don't live downtown, do you?" And in fact, I've actually interviewed her at her house, which is in the 3rd district. It's right near Bearden Middle School, solidly in that district. It's where she grew up. She lived in almost her entire life. So, but anyway, again, he's running. He's would have to be considered a long shot in this. You got Harmon running, and gave you a little bit of his background, and he had some interesting stuff. He, like I said, he was a city council member for 2 terms, closely allied to Mayor Victor Ashe. He was one of the council members that Ashe could always count on as a vote in his support. Then he ran for county commission. I said he was one of the county commissioners who discussed the appointment of replacement commissioners prior to a meeting in secret. Involved in that, and then really most recently he had some issues in 2021. He was he worked for the sheriff's office, and he and some other employees are found to have used inmate labor in an inappropriate way. So, and he was fired by former Sheriff J.J. Jones. And anyway, he wants to attack homelessness, and doesn't think that his age, he's 77, should be held against him. And he, like some of the other candidates, are worried about traffic, and Shad Road is an extension that's gone through there, that district. So anyway, like I said, he is really banking on his name recognition. Lloyd, the front runner of the campaign finance side of things, was also born and raised in the district. He's the co-founder of Lloyd's Electric Service. Started that at Kitchen Table with his dad, and he said that basic services, fixing the roads, picking up the garbage, fire and police protection are kind of the basic services is what the people are telling him that they want. That's as I've mentioned before, that's the secret. That was the secret to Victor Ashe's 4 terms, getting elected 4 times as the mayor, is those basic services. He's against many things, like he's against the pedestrian bridge. He doesn't think the sales tax increase is a good idea. In fact, almost very few candidates for city council this time think highly of the sales tax increase. So we'll be talking about sales tax in a couple of minutes. Lloyd, one of the things that he is running on too is being a contractor for electrical services and that stuff. Deals with the city a lot. Thinks that the city needs to do a better job, be more efficient in approving projects, approving construction projects, and permitting and things like that. He also volunteered that he thinks that the Knoxville Police Department should assist ICE in any efforts to apprehend people who are undocumented immigrants in Knoxville. That, of course, has been an issue in other areas across the country and could be here. And most people think it's just a matter of time. So, excuse me. Then we get to Ramey. As I mentioned, he is an ammunition salesman, sales company he owns, and he's another person who is a longtime resident of the 3rd District. He lives in Cumberland Estates. He wants to, again, like many others, Western Avenue is a big issue in that community because of the traffic there. There's a pedestrian bridge across it, but it doesn't have good connections yet. He wants the greenway connections to that to go ahead and be completed. He wants to cut red tape a lot, like Lloyd said. He thinks that the city can import some best practices from Chattanooga and other cities where, apparently, according to these guys, it's a lot easier to get business stuff done, and because of that, but that's kind of an intro to those candidates. We encourage you to find out as much as you can about them. As I said, our readers. Our subscribers can read the profile that I just talked about at CompassKnox.com. There are other resources as well. One that's good that not all candidates have done this, but some have. Knoxville Community Media has got some interviews with candidates on their YouTube page. So that's good. Of course, there are candidate forums going on. There was one just this past week. You've got 3 more coming up this week. So that's go to those forums. Read as much as you can on the candidates and make informed choices when for the August 26th primary. The only people that doesn't really apply to live in the city, people in the 5th District, because there's not a race in the 5th District. So you don't get to vote in the primary. General election, you get to vote on that sales tax proposal. So we'll go to that, and we'll hit briefly on that sales tax proposal. Of course, that was the proposal is to raise the local option sales tax by 0.05%, basically 50 cents. It is on the ballot while the mayor proposed it and city council voted to put it on the ballot. The final say rests with the people who actually vote, and this will be in November. It won't be on the primary ballot. This will be in November. The mayor's office has committed to spending the $47 million or so that will come in from the sales tax increase if it passes, to affordable housing and neighborhood improvements like paving and sidewalks and parks and those kinds of things. They have a plan that's been published on their website, the city's website, that talks about that. One of the things that we did is we have, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we have the power pole that we that we do once a month, and that is we send out a survey to people who are leaders in business and in government, nonprofit world, education, kind of the you can call them all kinds of things. You can call them movers and shakers, and you can call them the elite. You can call them whatever. But a lot of them are decision makers. These are people who have a lot of influence on what goes on in the community, and while you can't really predict outcomes of elections and things like that necessarily from these kinds of surveys, it is instructive, I think, to find out kind of what these the people who are the most influential people in Knoxville, Knox County think about things. One of the things we asked them was about the sales tax referendum, and as I mentioned, virtually all the city county candidates have come out against it. There's only a couple. DeBartoleben is kind of in favor of it, and others, like Honeycutt, are kind of, they're just glad the people are going to have a chance to vote on it. We'll take a look at it. They think the spending priorities are okay, and we've got others who are just dead set against any kind of sales tax increase. In fact, Jeff Tallman, who's running in the 4th District, put on his campaign finance disclosure an in-kind contribution from Mayor Kincannon, and as that contribution, he said the sales tax referendum, and he said that is invaluable to his campaign because he thinks that is a crucial issue that he will win on, because he doesn't think that people are in favor of it. And we've heard from a lot of people who are not in favor of it. The people who respond to the power poll members who answer our survey, however, are overwhelmingly for it. About 60% of the power poll respondents said that they would support its passage. Now, granted, there's a couple things I mentioned earlier that this isn't it's not a scientific poll. It's not a poll of registered voters, and also a lot of the people in the power poll group are people who live outside the city of Knoxville and won't have a vote on it anyway. But it's interesting that a shade under 60% supported it, even more supported the priorities that the mayor had set forward. So that kind of is an indicator that that there are people who aren't necessarily for who support the goals of the administration, but aren't supportive of the using the sales tax increase to pay for it. And it's interesting by supporting those goals, affordable housing, paving, sidewalks, parks, greenways, infrastructure improvements, some facilities improvements in neighborhoods. It's 75% supported that. I mean, 3/4 of the pool of people in power poll support that. So be interesting to see what plays out. We have our power poll has we ask various questions on local issues this month. Our subscribers can go to it and take a look at that more in depth. Those who aren't subscribers can subscribe to us and go back and take a look at it. So I
think of it like this: the people that are invited to do the power poll are the people that you're going to ask when you have questions about the topic. Anyway,
yeah.
Like if you want to talk about the movers and shakers, the definition to me is like, if I have a question about this thing that the Kincannon administration is doing, who am I going to ask? Other than you, which you're not a power poll member, you're an admin, so that's a little bit funky. But the other people around town that you would think of in your head, be like, who knows about this kind of stuff? That's who I'm going to ask. And so that being the case, if you're asking about the tax thing, that person's going to be like, this is the tax thing, this is how it works, and this is what I think about it. Whether they're residents of the city or not, they're going to influence city residents on the topic because they're the people that you would ask those questions to.
And we can tie that back to the campaign finance thing. They're also the people who are more likely to donate to campaigns and have the ear of the people who make those decisions. Of course, this decision, as I said, and want to emphasize, this decision's in the hands of the voter. So, your convenience store clerk, your carpenter, your car salesperson, they all have the same amount of power in this question as the mayor and city council members and members of the power poll. Everybody's equal when you go to the voting booth. If you go to the voting booth, so we'll move on from city stuff. We've monopolized the conversation. We've spoken about city stuff the whole time. There are also things that happened in other areas of civic life last week. One of them was this was a week ago Friday. Superintendent John Ryswick of the Knox County School System announced some of the impact of some federal cuts to the school system. Pretty hefty. There are 27.5 positions have been eliminated. They were funded by $3.8 million in grants through Title II, Title III, and Title IV of the federal law. So those positions go away. They were primarily or entirely positions where that worked out of the central office, so to speak, but they would go and out into the various schools and work with the frontline teachers in enhancing education in various levels. There were, some worked in science, some worked in language, and various other things. But they were 27 of those plus one part-time position are gone. The impact on the classroom is classroom instruction will be is indirect, but those positions are gone. One of the things that Ryswick decided to do to try to soften that blow has something that's gotten a lot of attention as well. There are positions in the school system where they're basically coaches in the gifted and talented program. So if you're a gifted student, these coaches would go in every so often, sometimes on a regular basis, weekly, sometimes every other week, whatever the thing was. They would take these students out of class, give them advanced instruction outside of the regular classroom, and send them back in. Just a lot of one-on-one instruction there. The school system decided to eliminate those positions, but not they were going to take those positions, move them into the roles that the people who lost their jobs from the federal cuts occupied. So basically they're gonna they got 27.5 jobs cut. They're going to have 14 people from the talented and gifted program move in and try to fill that gap. Meanwhile, that opens up a gap in the talented and gifted program. They're not going to replace those positions. What Ryswick said is going to go on there is that the regular classroom teacher will teach the enhanced curriculum parts to talented and gifted students. Not sure how well that's going to work. They're already, they're already busy, and so, but that is something that there was a lot of misunderstanding when this first came out about there were people who were saying, the federal cuts cut the talented and gifted program. Well, no, that program is actually funded by local dollars, which is why the school system was able to move the people in those positions over to the vacant positions that the federal cuts created. So it's one of those things that a very real impact on local affairs by these federal cuts, and it's real, and it does have an effect. There are, and this will appears is something that's going to be happening for various corners of local government from time to time, and it's going to be tough for the students and the families that have come to rely on those services. You're not going to get a lot of people weeping for talented and gifted students for some reason, but as the parent of a talented and gifted student who, when she was in school, I really was glad that she had that. But it's it's something that too, is way the feds have done this. The school system had no clue until after the 4th of July holiday that they weren't going to get the federal money. The state had assured them, because the feds worked through the states to distribute this grant money. The state had told them, go ahead and budget for it, you're going to get it. And then all of a sudden, after the 4th of July, they didn't. And it was a tough blow. And the school system is trying to recover from that and move forward. It's kind of unclear now how much further that's going to happen. The Trump administration has said they want to cut, completely eliminate the education department, and the Supreme Court has said they basically can do that. So more changes, I'm sure, will be coming down the pike as regard to education that will affect Knox County Schools. Speaking of changes, the juvenile detention facility, or actually the juvenile service center, is undergoing a leadership change. We've talked about that, about the retirement of Richard L. Bean, who's the only superintendent the facility has ever known. 52 years. He's worked almost as long as the superintendent there as I have been alive. The new system, which is going to eventually turn management of the facility to the Knox County Sheriff, is going to be overseen by a board. We talked about this. Talked about it last week and the week before. A board made up now of 5 county commissioners. They will be doing the oversight of the facility. They had their first meeting last week in juvenile court. Judge Irwin, who is Tim Irwin, who is the juvenile court judge, was there. Brian Bevins, who is the new interim superintendent, he'll be in charge of the facility till the sheriff's office takes over in January. Met with them. Basically, it wasn't much of a meeting. It's basically organizational and educational. But is Larson J., who is running for Knox County mayor, was named the chair of this board, and Damon Rawls was named vice chair. No real controversy in either of those. It's interesting. Rawls is a Democrat. Jay is a Republican. So you've got, even though it's not a nonpartisan kind of deal, it's still you still got partisan labels on everybody in county government. So that's what that is. They heard from Bevins about some of the interesting things that he's doing. He's got training academy he's going to start up. He's a former jailer with the head of corrections at Knox County Sheriff's Office. He's a jail consultant now, so he's it's not like they just pulled some guy in off the street to do this. He does have experience in corrections, although not directly with juveniles. And as we talked before, juvenile is completely different. Juvenile detention is completely different from adult detention. One of the reasons that Sheriff Tom Spangler was more comfortable waiting until January to take over, because he needs to get up to speed on everything that you've got to do in the juvenile side, because they've typically only deal with adults. But we had that meeting. It's interesting, some of the things they talked about. They asked Bevins if they wanted all these reports on a summary of Department of Children's Services reports. They wanted incident reports. They wanted all this stuff. And it's interesting that it came out. One of the things that Judge Irwin said is, in the previous management of this, there was a board of trustees that's been disbanded in favor of this board, but they would have meetings, and basically those meetings were Richard Bean, who runs the Richard Bean Children's Service Center, would basically give them a report, and that was it. There really wasn't much give and take. It was all just basically, hey, here's what we did this past month. And
my name's in the building. This is what's going on.
Yeah.
Good night. We'll see you guys later.
Move along. Although he was also careful to Judge Irwin was very careful to emphasize that the community owes Bean a huge thank you for his service over the past half century doing this. But the commissioners also, or the members of the board and the other commissioners who aren't on the board, went on a tour of the facility before the meeting. One of the things that we in the media did not like about that is that we weren't allowed to go to. And here we got all these elected officials who serve on the same body, and an appointed board that serves together, going off in private and talking about the very thing they're going to be overseeing. So we thought that would be a kind of a no-brainer that at least a media representative go along too. But the Judge Irwin kind of nixed that. Basically it's a secure facility. We understand that, and they said that because of its status as a secure facility, we couldn't go. So we weren't allowed to go there. And, boo! I did talk to a couple of commissioners about that, and then some of the discussion during the meeting, they talked about it. They did talk about how they kept coming up over and over again how clean the facility is. Of course, it's really underutilized. There are 120 beds, and usually like 30 detainees in there at any time. 30, maybe 40. If the number fluctuates, but it's got 120 beds, so it's not half full. But it's very clean. They said, by all indications, the detainees, who got to remember are all juveniles. Some of them could be violent. Some of these are people who are there for a reason. Whether they're guilty or not is a different story. That's to be judged by the courts. But they appeared to be well treated, according to the commissioners. Appeared to be well fed. Of course, we didn't get to go along to verify all that. So, but they're meeting. They're going to be meeting. They had that meeting. They're going to be meeting once a month through the end of the year. And one thing that Jay said was that he would like to look at is to instead of having a board that's just made up of county commissioners, would like to look at bringing in outside members who aren't county commissioners to this board, who could bring some expertise and understanding of juvenile detention to the table. Because you got to remember, none of the county commissioners have any experience with juvenile detention. The only one who remotely does is Rhonda Lee, who's a criminal defense attorney and has had some clients who've gone through the juvenile system. But it's really something that Jay and other commissioners, well, Shane Jackson, who's a Democrat, who's also on the the board has also said that yes, we need some expertise on here to help us out. Anyway, we'll be following their progress as they move forward in this brave new world of juvenile detention management. So go on from there. The one last thing we want to talk about that we covered from last week is more of a kind of a what we used to call it the New Sentinel Hey Martha story. Kind of an interesting story. We on our website, we always, or on our website, our newsletter, we get a daily, our subscribers get a daily newsletter packed with lots of news. We send it out every morning. On one of our newsletters this week on the 16th, we noted, and this is we always have a salutation at the beginning. Instead of just saying "Dear subscriber" or something like that, we put in there, something that's the anniversary of an event or someone's famous person's birthday or something like that. Just to have a little fun with it. On the 16th, we put in that was the day 90 years ago that the first parking meter ever was installed in Oklahoma City.
I reinsert another boo.
There was, people didn't like it back then, just like they really don't like the replacement now. But the first parking meter went in Oklahoma City in I said 90 years ago, which was 1935. Anyway, that clicked a little something in my brain. As small as it is, because Knoxville has a connection to the person who is credited with inventing the parking meter, and that person is my former boss, former News Sentinel editor Jack McElroy, who just last year published a biography of the inventor. His name was Carl McGee, who is a newspaper man and by trade, and inventor by accident almost. So McGee has a fascinating life. He was one of the basically broke the Teapot Dome scandal of the 1920s, which a lot of people have forgotten now, but is the biggest corruption scandal in American history up until Watergate. And involved sale leases to oil leases and things like that. But he did that. He was very much a crusading journalist. He worked at the and then owned the Albuquerque Tribune in the 1920s. That's where McElroy later worked, which is how he got to know who Carl McGee was. But McGee did that. He was a crusading journalist. He had a judge confront him after he wrote that the judge was corrupt. Had a judge confront him. Rose an altercation. Shots were fired by McGee. McGee shot someone and killed them. Was acquitted of manslaughter. But now the E.W. Scripps, or actually it was Scripps Howard at the time, but Scripps owned the Tribune. They bought it from McGee. Had done that, and they, in fact, they took their lighthouse logo and the corporate motto from McGee, and but after all this happened, they shipped McGee off to Oklahoma City. He gets to Oklahoma City, runs the Scripps paper in Oklahoma City, joins the Chamber of Commerce, and people were complaining about the fact that city employees, or not city employees, employees of downtown businesses were taking up all the parking spaces in front of said businesses, and people couldn't park in front. Their customers couldn't park in front of said businesses. So they wanted to come up with a way to get it to where customers could park more conveniently downtown. McGee came up with the idea of using a parking meter. Built a prototype, kind of got the green light to go ahead with it. He got a patent on it, so he is the patent holder on the parking meter. got some engineering students at Oklahoma State to help him out, and his lasting contribution to the American parking industry was started 90 years ago. And it's also kind of interesting. I've known Jack McElroy for 25 years. He came in 2001, so to the News Sentinel. It was kind of cool to see that he had written that, and I've talked to him about it since then. And he worked. Like I said, he worked at the Tribune, which was McGee's paper, when for years. He actually became managing editor there. Then he went on to the Rocky Mountain News, won a Pulitzer Prize. His staff won a Pulitzer Prize there, and then came to the News Sentinel. Kind of interesting. He goes to the Rocky Mountain News and works there, and he's the managing editor there. And the Columbine happens, and the photography staff got won a Pulitzer for their work there. Then he comes to the News Sentinel. His first day in Knoxville was 9/11, and so it was just like he's been able to. And of course, we even though we were a local newspaper and 9/11 happened in New York, we blew out coverage on 9/11. So two of the biggest news stories in the past 40 years, Jack McElroy's been involved in it. So that's kind of a really cool thing. We thought we'd just give him a shout out, and we did. And now, of course, in the city of Knoxville this year, parking meters have gone away. The city has removed them all, and now you have to have a mobile app to park on the street in the city of Knoxville. So
I'll reinsert boo one more time.
Yeah, like I said,
that's all I'm going to do today is just say boo over and over again.
Yeah, the people of Oklahoma City didn't like the conversion to parking meters, and people in Knoxville aren't so happy about the conversion from them. So anyway, that was all stuff that happened last week. Coming up this week, busy again. We've got County Commission on Monday. The agenda, they're going to review. This is optional for county commissioners. They don't have to show up, but at 3:00 they're going to review their agenda for the next week's voting meeting of commission. Then they'll meet again at 5:00. This is all in the city county building, the main assembly room. 5:00 Monday afternoon to go to vote on zoning matters, because they do those separately. So there'll be a zoning meeting at 5 p.m. On Monday. City Council meets on Tuesday. There is going to be a one thing that's on there is a payment in lieu of tax proposal for Phil Lawson. I mentioned him as a donor. He's building an event venue at the former Knoxville Tabernacle Church in East Knoxville on Magnolia Avenue, seeking a 10-year pilot, which basically freezes your property taxes for a time to help with the construction there. It's his foundation is doing this, so it's not a for-profit enterprise. The taxes currently are under $40,000 a year for the property. It'll stay that way for the next 10 years, and then we'll switch over to pay the full rate at that time for what they would owe. Anyway, that's going to be on Tuesday City Council agenda. They meet at 6 p.m. in the main assembly room of the City Council City Council building. We've got forums, League of Women Voters forums like crazy next week. We had the one this past week. We'll have the forum for Districts 2 and 3 candidates will be on Thursday at 6:30 at the Public Works Center on Morris Avenue. For those of you who don't know where that is, it is close to downtown, just off Middlebrook Pike. They're going to do both of those together. Jesse Mayshark, yes, the ever elusive Jesse Mayshark, who has spent the past week in Miami reporting on his podcast down there. would be he will be the moderator for that. Lord Seth tells me I just said that that was going to be on Thursday. It's going to be on Tuesday. So those of you who listen to that and are interested in the 2nd and 3rd district races and attending the forum, it will be on Tuesday at 6:30. On Wednesday, I really want something to happen on Thursday. On Wednesday, the 4th district candidates will meet at a forum, a League of Women Voters forum, at 6:30 Wednesday, St. James Episcopal Church in North Knoxville. Yours truly, Scott Barker, I will be the moderator there. These forums are great. They give you a chance. All the questions come from the audience, so you can go there. You can jot a question down, give to the folks there, and there's no guarantee it will be one that gets selected to be asked of the candidates. But if you don't go and you don't write them down, they definitely won't. But that does give people a chance to not only see the candidates, find out what their positions are on various topics, but they also get to interact with them, meet with them, talk with them, share concerns, all of those things. So these kinds of forums are great. It's kind of just great to go to. So I'm. And
I would say, especially with the new district format and stuff like that, you're not suffered with 30 people on stage like we did that very, very first one. This year.
Yes.
You're just gonna have what we have 5 in District 6. That's gonna be the biggest one. But 5 people conversating on stuff, you can actually get some good ideas and conversation.
Yeah. Like I said, I was the moderator for last Thursday's.
See, we knew something happened.
There was something that happened on Thursday. Last Thursday's forum for 6 district candidates in East Knoxville, and yes, I mean they covered about half a dozen questions. Now, of course, they have time limits on what they can address. It takes they get 90 seconds to address something. But there was a broad range of questions. You did get a sense of the candidates and what they were about, how they interacted with one another. A lot of times candidates know each other, and I mean, just about all the 6 district candidates knew one another, have known one another to begin with. The only candidate I think he wasn't unknown to all of them, but who was lesser known was Rowdenbush and Cat Dad. And he actually was kind of the funny one there. He injected some funny things I didn't mention in talking about it. When he was up there, he was basically saying, "Hey, I don't want this job. Don't vote for me." Or, "I don't want this job. I really don't." Said, "But I feel like I have to run. I feel compelled to run. It's my duty to run. So if you vote for me, I will serve." But he made it very, very clear he really doesn't want to serve on city council. Oh, local politics is a lot of fun. Anyway, that is everything that I'm going to talk about this week. There are other things I could talk about, but hey, your patience is not as thick as it used to be. It's kind of like the ice cap in the Arctic. It's people's patience isn't as thick as it used to be, and that's okay.
It's because it's hot outside.
It is hot outside. And anyway, but what we want to do definitely is thank you for listening in to Compass Points. And if you are interested in Knox County government, if you like, for whatever strange reason, like the kinds of stuff that we talk about here, you can always go to CompassKnox.com and subscribe to Compass. Like I said, we have a website. We have a daily newsletter that goes out on weekdays. It's only $12 a month or $120 a year. So you can go to the website and check that out. Some of some of our work is outside of the paywall, so you can get a flavor of what we do. So go ahead and check us out there. Many thanks. More thanks than I can utter to Lord Seth Barber, our esteemed producer, and to Will Wright, who provides our music for us. So that is it for this week. So long for now, and we'll be back next week with another installment of Compass Points.
CompassKnox.com is your best source for news and politics in Knoxville and Knox County. If you'd like to learn more about the topics discussed on today's podcast, go to CompassKnox.com and subscribe for in-depth coverage and much more. And many thanks to William Wright for composing our theme song. Compass Points is a partnership of Barking Shark Media and Barbarian Productions, and recorded by Lord Seth A. Barber at Barbarian Studios, Knoxville, Tennessee.